Hit me.
What?
Come on, you...
No, you are insane.
You can pretend you're punching Caleb in the face.
I do not want to
We
punch.
all want to punch Caleb in the face. Even Caleb wants to punch himself in the face. It's a core tenet of his personality. Jaden, what are you so scared of? Huh? Just show me what you got. Come on. Hit me. Show me. Come on.
I am not hitting you. It would be like squashing an insect.
That felt good. Didn't it?
One of your earth emotions.
Glad I found you.
Let's get married.
Delete the wife.
Welcome back to Deep Space Love, the Star Trek podcast, where a married Trekkie couple explore love in all its forms throughout the final frontier. I'm Nicole, one of your hosts.
I'm one of your other hosts, Joe. Hi.
Hi, Joe. How's it going?
You know, it's going great. How are you?
It's going great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Confidence?
As a typical Minnesotan, I think I've said this before, the weather really affects my mood. And so
That's true. It does.
It's been very nice and warm here, which has been very welcome. We finally turned off our heater for a while, our furnace, and we stopped using the humidifiers at night. So it's
we've turned a corner. I don't know if I really want to say. I feel like you always say you would turn a corner in April in Minnesota, and then it'll snow.
This is true, but I don't know. It was like 80 degrees today, so it was anyway.
It's true. It was hot.
Typical Midwesterner. I'm also really excited to be chatting Star Trek with you tonight, and not just with you, but with an amazing returning guest.
Welcome back. Matt Jennings is with us. Matt, you might be, I think, the first guest to be on for like 3 episodes now, I think you're like the most recurring guest at this point. But if for anyone that haven't listened before, Matt, you're a big Star Trek fan just like ourselves, but you're also the creator of the web series 1701, A BLERD Story. Welcome back, by the way.
Thank you. It's good to be back. It's good to see both of your faces.
You too. Really excited to dig into your show, actually. So, I mean, we've talked about it on the podcast before. Love the first season of the web series, which I think you've told us before evolved from kind of like a stage show, right? Like you did once before. Yeah. But you're working on season 2 now. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Season 2. Oh my good golly, Miss Molly. Okay. Season 2, I started writing season 2 at the end of 2024. So it was right after the election in 2024.
Okay.
And I think, I think all of us, we had a way that we felt about the election. And there was this feeling of helplessness and this questioning of what does my profession, my career, my art, how much does that matter now? What am I supposed to do with that? And long story short, I turned season 2 into my way of venting, my way of making commentary on everything that's been happening for the last not 2 years. I guess it's been over about a year and a half.
Feels like long.
It feels like it's been much longer than that. But that's kind of what season 2 ended up being. The season 2 is written. There are some rewrites that I need to do. But season 2 is written. I had to, as the year and a half has gone on, I've had to change some things because I tried to keep it as relevant and with current events as possible. And as you both know, things have just continued to happen and happen. And so I wanted the story to really reflect that and to comment on that. So now I'm in the fundraising phase. I'm in the last 8 days.
Wow.
I think 8 days. Last 8 days of fundraising. The goal is $20,000. We're at 17,320 right now.
Awesome.
So that's like more, obviously much more than halfway there. So and I want to make sure that I say this now, for everyone that is, including you, the both of you and everyone that's had me on a podcast, or friends that have listened to me panic about certain things at night, or listen to my ideas about the web series, or just anyone that has contributed or has supported in some kind of way, obviously donating as well. I just, I want to say thank you now, because, one of the major themes of season 2 is community, is, what does a united Federation of Planets look like in the 21st century in America? And that, that's a major theme. And I think, just from the support that I've received for season 2 and with fundraising, that is kind of watching things manifest, from the series, writing season 2 to, watching it manifest in real time now. And, if anything, I'm inspired, I'm encouraged, and, I genuinely believe that if we can come together to support a project, we're capable of so much more, in the real world, and coming together in this time in the real world. That is what I've received so far from this journey of season 2, in terms of the Indiegogo, and just speaking to different people about it so far.
Well said. The Indiegogo campaign, as you mentioned, it's got a couple more days left. We'll get this episode will be out in time for people to still donate if they find it through this, perhaps. But and I'll put the link in the show notes and everything. But curious, have you gotten a lot of like new attention through this campaign? Like, I know that the first season was pretty successful too, and you made a lot of connections in the Trek community, us included. But like, have you made a lot of like new connections, like going through this season 2 process?
I think so. And it's been, it's been very interesting. So, 2024 is when I started writing season 2. And I mean, I think since that time, the Sci-Fi Sisters have brought me on, I call them my sci-fi aunties. So, they've obviously brought me on to be part of different events and to come on the podcast and either talk about my show or just hang out and talk about Star Trek, which has been great. I got to be on a panel at WonderCon last month.
Cool.
Awesome.
March, right? March.
Yeah.
That was last month, yeah.
With Larry Nemechek, talking about Starfleet Academy.
Wow.
Awesome. And I remember we bumped into each other at LACon in 2021. Sure, 2021.
They blend together.
Yes, don't they? Oh my God. But we bumped into each other, and I told him about the web series. And he's been in contact with me more, and someone dipped out last minute of the panel for whatever reason, and so Larry was like, "Hey, I need someone to come in and fill in this day. Can you come in and fill in for the panel?" I'm like, "Oh my God, sure." I'm trying to think. I've been able to screen the web series at different venues. I screened the first season at Trek Long Island last year, and then at there's a Star Trek themed drag show called The Organization Is to Proudly Go. And I got to film it. I got to screen it there. And yeah, ever since then, and I would talk about the process of season 2 as well, as I would go to these different events. And so to answer your question, I'm kind of rambling now. In short, yes, there has been more exposure since then, which has been great. And I think again that just goes along with the theme of community.
Yeah,
bringing it back.
Yeah.
That's really like, that's kind of been the wonderful thing about just like the Star Trek world lately, is it's just been, I mean, I feel like even just doing this podcast, we've been able to like just meet interesting creatives in the like the world or the community, or just like people who like it, and it's just it's a fun connection. It's a fun way to bridge connection, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It is the antidote for all of everything going on.
Yeah, it really is.
It's so necessary. It's so necessary. I've been reminding myself the last 6 months what is the fight? What is the struggle about? What is the fight? What is the resistance about? It's a major theme in season 2 is resistance. What is the resistance about? And it's we fight, we resist for the things that we love. It's the loved ones, it's the friendships, it's the connections that we have, it's those moments, those moments of levity that we have, those moments of peace that we have. It's that friend that you think about and you can't help but laugh when you think about that friend. It's that stuff that we fight for, especially in this time. Yeah. And I think, because we have something to fight for, that is why we will win. Because we have that. We've seen, throughout history, what happens when a large, imposing force tries to, or, for better words, picks on and bullies a group of people that are either small in number or don't have as much resources. And the people that have less resources always win because there's something there to fight for. There's something there at the core of it, based off of love, based off of community. And it's the same story over and over again, and that's how it's going to play out again, especially now.
Wonderfully said.
Yeah. Is there a little bit of a tease that you'd want to share about season 2? Any specific things that we could look forward to seeing on screen?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah?
I've been talking about this a lot, but there's Klingon drag queens.
Okay.
I've had that idea since 2022, and long story short, without giving too much away, I always think that there is a through line between Klingon culture and drag culture, especially when it comes to having different houses.
Right.
Ooh.
Queens come from different houses. They mentor younger queens. And then sometimes there's a disagreement. The houses break apart. The houses can be at war. And we see what happens when the houses are at war. And how do the houses unify? How do the houses come back together, especially in this time?
Okay.
I try to make some commentary on drag culture and the use of Black culture, the influence of Black culture on drag culture, on queer culture. I try to, I address what it is like, the feeling of, we have those people in our lives that are closest to us, that friends or family that we lost to white supremacy, that we lost to MAGA. And, there's a lot of talk, and I'll see it on social media as I'm scrolling. A lot of people saying, if you voted for Donald Trump, 1, 2, 3 times, don't ever speak to me again, and this and that.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of anger there, and it's obviously justified. But I think we don't acknowledge the hurt there. Because when you're at the end of the day, if it's family, friend, this is someone that meant a lot to you. And you're now in a place of, yes, acknowledging your anger, but you have to let this person go.
Yeah.
And that is so painful.
It's hard.
It's very hard. And there is an episode, because it's 3 episodes for season 2.
Okay.
And the second episode, we do a flashback, and we find out that in addition to Matt and Emerson and the Bones character and the Tia character,
yeah.
In addition to those, to that group of people, there was one other friend that was responsible for bringing them all together. And was like the anchor since they were in elementary school. That was the one friend that kind of brought the friend group together and started everything. And you see slowly but surely that person is not who you would hope they would end up being later on down the line.
Right.
And so you kind of see one by one those friends fall away. And that's, in line with, seeing people end up on the MAGA train. And, again, we acknowledge the pain of losing somebody, because the pain is real and we have to acknowledge the pain too. And that's something that I've learned and been learning after the first season. So it made its way into season 2. There are some nods to, and I it always fascinates me how much Star Trek First Contact has like influenced a lot of 1701. There'll be some nods to certain things in First Contact as well that mirror what's happening in 1701. I continue to use the Borg as a what's the right word, as a comparison to white supremacy and to MAGA. The Borg always say your biological and technological distinctiveness will be added to our own. And that's to me, that's colonialism. That's white supremacy. That is MAGA. This administration, ICE. We hear stories about ICE going to a Mexican restaurant, and then you're kidnapping the staff.
Yeah,
right after they serve you. So you want the culture, you want our food, you want the good stuff, and then you take us away, you absorb us.
Yeah.
Good comparison.
To me, that's the Borg. That's colonialism. One of the images that I keep talking about that I love is, the use of the Borg, in terms of MAGA, and what you might see, what you will see is, maybe you'll see someone with a Borg ocular implant with a red hat on, facing off with a civil rights activist holding up a sign. Or maybe you'll see a civil rights activist holding up a sign like "No fascism, no hate," and they might have a Bajoran nose, and they'll be facing off with a right wing, a right wing personality. But those are the images that I'm excited to share, that I want to share with people. And at the end of the day, the purpose of this season. And I hope that it gives hope. I hope that it influences someone that has more influence than me. I continue to be in awe of the reach of Star Trek and the power of Star Trek, because it's about those ideas of diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's about being woke. I know that woke has been demonized. The word's been demonized. And I think, we have to take ownership of that word, and we can't let people dirty that word. We have to take it back, take ownership of that word, because that's what Star Trek has always been. When I think about the ideas of Star Trek and the people that it influences or has influenced, I think of Stacey Abrams, I think of AOC, people in high positions of power that can really affect and inspire people. And I believe those are just some examples of the pull of Star Trek and the power of Star Trek. So if this series can affect someone in that place, with that mindset, with that kind of influence, it will have done what it was supposed to do.
I mean, honestly, just hearing like your words about it, and just like, I mean, knowing you a little bit, and the like the heart that I know that you poured into it watching the first season, like I'm certain that it will. Like I'm so stoked to watch it when it comes out.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you.
Eloquently said. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being willing to share so much and of the process, and kind of like the thought and the passion that's going into it. I know that people listening to here will certainly be excited if they haven't already checked it out. It's a cool thing. I mean, like you said, it's influenced by First Contact. I mean, that's great. First Contact rules. We all know it. That's great. But like, it's a cool project because it's also just super unique. Like I think like we've talked to a lot of people who've created some like Star Trek fan films, which are awesome and amazing, but this is not quite a fan film. It's kind of it's like your own unique like dramedy series that's like using like a Star Trek as kind of like a motif throughout it. And I think that's a really like it's a really clever thing that we don't quite have. Like you're occupying your own space.
Similar,
Yeah. It's really it is about how how does someone cope with life? How does a Star Trek fan cope with life? And for me, ever since I was a kid, I was the captain of the Enterprise. I had my friends that were my Spocks and my Dr. McCoys. My cousin, my cousin, mom's side of the family, was always giving me wisdom like Guinan. We find ways, especially as Trekkies and nerds, we find ways to cope. And this is just how about a nerd is able to cope with life and process life in the world. And this season is how does a Trekkie cope with fascism?
Yeah.
How does a Trekkie confront fascism?
Eagerly anticipating it. So
yes.
Yeah, thank you. One of the other reasons you came here to chat with us was about the recently finished Starfleet Academy Season 1 and some of the love stories, given that we're a love podcast, that prevailed throughout the series. Normally at this time I do like a little Trek check segment, but there's not a whole lot of news to report. Sadly, I mean, other than just like kind of the sets coming down, which I've heard, which is a big bummer.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest news was that Starfleet Academy kind of ended this first season. And I think we're gonna chat about it. We're gonna chat a little bit about like the show generally at first, and then like we'll get into some of the love stories. But I want to ask you both, kind of like right off the bat, when this show was kind of like for the Starfleet Academy, when this show was first like announced, were you like stoked about the notion of an Academy show, like kind of like almost going back to like that Deep Space Nine style, where generally it takes place in like mostly a single setting? Or were you going like, I don't know, like what were your thoughts when that was first kind of the prospect of the next show?
Oh gosh. I'm not gonna lie, I was nervous. I think if we're all honest with ourselves, Trekkies, we always get nervous when a new show. I think there's excitement first, because it's new Star Trek, and then I think the nerves come in because you want it to be good.
Yeah.
So and then there was the element of it being a younger cast, and I think for me the initial worry was with going with the younger cast, how deep was the storytelling going to be? Because I know one of the objectives with this Academy series is trying to pull in a new generation of viewers, and I think sometimes pulling in a newer audience sometimes means, especially in the past, when I look at other, in my opinion, other franchises or attempts, it means you take away from the quality of the work.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was my biggest concern: is the quality still going to be there? Is the storytelling still going to be there? And to my pleasant surprise, it was not. I think, in fact, it was brutally honest. I think Academy is probably one of the most honest shows, next to DS9, and some episodes of Strange New Worlds. It didn't pull the punches, and I really appreciate that.
What do you think, Nicole?
I mean, I think, like Matt just said, having some like, oh, where are they gonna take this concept? I do think I had long said, and I think people have been like, oh yeah, maybe a Starfleet Academy show. It felt like a space in the world that was rich to explore. And it almost to me feels a little bit like Lower Decks was like a step in that direction, where we had sort of the perspective of those who are new to Starfleet and who are new to their roles, and finding their way. And so this is taking that like maybe a smidge step back to the, the idea of like before you even get on a starship and have an assignment, like how does one become a Starfleet officer from the beginning? So I feel like it was something that I kind of had hoped would always be done. So I thought, so yes, like you mentioned, excitement, but yeah, especially with a lot of the corporate, billions of dollars being shifted around everywhere and the people in charge in the upper echelons wondering what we were going to get. But again, yes, pleasantly surprised, or maybe, I don't know. I was trying to figure out like what my expectations were, and maybe I had really neutral expectations, and so it exceeded them. Yeah, that's all. I don't know. What about you, Joe?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's interesting because, I mean, you say that it's like the Academy show has been kind of like floated for like, I feel like there's articles and essays out there where people like go through the history of like possible Starfleet Academy like movies and shows that would have come out over the year. I think I was like looking at it, like I think it was Gene Roddenberry like in even 1968 who first was like, we should do a Starfleet Academy like prequel movie. So it's like all the way back there, like it's been a thing. Even like when the show was like kind of first coming out, like I kind of like looked into it a little bit. I got I got the Starfleet Academy comic book from the 90s, the Marvel comics, like from Chris Cooper about Nog and the Academy during the DS9 era. Super fun. Like, just want to shout out that, like, if you're like Academy and want more of that vibe, like check that comic book out. Super fun, 19 issues.
I remember those. I have like one or two, but I remember those.
I got like the set from eBay, and it's been really fun to read through. It's definitely some like solid 90s cheese and like very like buff action hero vibes, but also like very Star Trekky at part. Like it melds that. It's very fun. But like that being said, like I'm with you both. Like I'm always like just stoked for a new Star Trek. But I was like, nervous to see like what exactly that would look like. And it's trying to like play to a new genre, that kind of like YA space. But I was also just really excited for it to take place in that 32nd century like area, like with
when we knew that was when it was going to take place. Yes.
When like Discovery kind of went there and then Discovery ended, I was like, this is such a space that's ripe for like deeper exploration and like looking into like what's the status of the galaxy at this time. And I think like Discovery wasn't able to do that always, or like it did to some extent, but like it's like this is the area that Star Trek could like kind of explore.
Occupied a unique niche in that world.
Yeah. So I was really excited to see that. And I was excited to see some returning characters alongside the new fresh faces. So I mean, ultimately, like I was excited. I feel the same way. Like I wasn't entirely neutral, but I was excited, but there was a little trepidation, I think, with it, given like status of the corporate culture and all that.
Yeah, you said that better than me. Thank you.
It's okay. But like given all of that, like now that we've seen this show, like what are some general thoughts? Like it sounds like we're all feeling positive about it, but like what were we happy with?
I think I wanted more episodes. And I think that's, that's always, I think that's the beauty of having lesser episodes, and the danger of having less episodes is that, on one hand, you don't get filler episodes that don't really do anything. Some filler episodes are great.
Yeah.
But you do want to have every episode have a purpose, especially if you're spending the money. You want it to, you want to not make something just to make something. But on the other hand, I think in this case with Starfleet Academy, there are some storylines that I think just got a little truncated just because it was 10 episodes. And I think that there are just some storylines that got truncated that we wanted to see expand more. Like, I wanted to see more of the Darum and Kyle and Jaden story.
Yeah.
I think because Darum and Jaden are the two main characters, and Kyle is more of a supporting character, we're going to see more of their story arc. But I did want to see the journey of Jaden and Kyle becoming a couple. Like I still believe the progression that we see, because I imagine, especially with the time, because there's some time jumps that we get within this season, because it takes place over one school year, right?
Yeah.
So there's going to be some jumps, but I think there was literally the episode where Jaden and Kyle, along with the rest of the Academy crew, they're on that derelict starship. And Jaden and Kyle are flirting a little bit. And then in the next episode, they're going on a trip together. And I was like, wait, we missed. There's a whole section of like the first kiss, the first date. Where where's that story? I'm personally obsessed with the whole idea of Darren and Jaden together, but I want to be able to give the Kyle Jaden relationship some context, so I can make a fair judgment.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that. I feel like that's probably the biggest thing, is that just didn't get. It didn't. Yeah, I wish we had more. I mean, I know that the episodes are expensive and everything, but I would be happy to like have like slightly less expensive episodes and longer seasons for sure. It'd be wonderful. One of the things that I thought was really good about the show, that I wasn't sure if it would be more of a gimmick, but like the school setting. Right? Like, I think that they did a really excellent job utilizing the setting of like a school, and the fact that they're students, to like kind of really put like fresh takes on like classic Star Trekkie stories. Like, even I feel like I wasn't fully sold on the show until maybe a couple episodes in, but even the second episode, I think is Beta Test, it was called, right? Where the Beta Z like delegates come in and they have to basically do like a really classic diplomacy, like TNG style diplomacy episode, but they filter it through this YA like school lens. And I was like, that's really clever, like twist of that. And like further, I'd say like what I have the episode here. 4 Vox and Excelsior, the Jaden one about the debates, right? Like that was where I was truly sold on the show. And I feel like that was like a really great use of like, how are we going to get these like classic moral ethical debates in? And they just like literally framed it as a class. And I think that was super smart. Or even like down the road, the one where they brought Tilly back, the acting one or the theater one, like framing, confronting the trauma as like a class. And like, how do we incorporate this into our setting? So it never felt like just like, oh, it's just the veneer of a school, like there was a full on like effort that was made to kind of like make that as like part of that, like that setting it felt important to it. And I thought they did that in a really clever way overall. Like, I mean, even the one you were talking about, the excursion, like the reason they're out on this derelict ship, like made sense. And it added to that sense of peril. That's like, it's not just like if our hero ships from previous shows would have been like in the same situation, would be relatively confident, in most of their abilities. But the fact that it's like, these are our cadets, these are our students, like that fear is like palpable, like that something could go wrong and it's going to be like incredibly tragic. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that was like, for me, like something that I was really like overall like impressed with the show. I think that it pulled off.
I think you talk about like the setting of the school, but I think also just not only that, but they did really give us a sense of in the characters and how they approach everything happening, in each episode as people who are new to this compared to, our well-seasoned bridge officers that we are normally getting, that story, on like the flagship, and it's, the cream of the crop, right? And these, these people maybe someday, these characters, but they are in that learning stage. And like you said, even something that would feel routine for the Enterprise feels a lot more, I don't want to say scary.
Perilous.
Perilous, thank you. And also just the way that they deal with it. Like they're actually nervous, every time like they, it does come to like, okay, we're actually in real danger, as opposed to it. So I just feel like that was another really well done aspect of the show. Like they weren't like, oh, it's a Starfleet Academy, but like they're all gonna be like super amazing. I mean, they are amazing. at like, the things it's supposed to do, but they also make mistakes that you would expect young people to make. And like, I think that added to, what the show is trying to be and something new for Star Trek.
Yeah. What did you guys think about the use of the starship, the Athena also being the campus as well at the same time?
That's a really good question. It's interesting. I mean, it makes sense because they built behind the scenes, they built this giant set and they want to like kind of make it work. But I think that it's a cool idea. The idea that like they could kind of just like lift off and like do these training exercises. I will say, I know that this was divided. I thought the landing sequence in episode 1 to the Rufus Wainwright San Francisco, I really like that scene. I thought that was really cool. I like the song. And it made for a really
beautiful.
Yeah, it was a really cool set piece. And I think like that reveal that like, oh, you're on the campus. Like that was fun. It is interesting. I think one of my worries with the fact that it was the campus also was that with Nala Ake, Captain or Holly Hunter's character, and her like relationship with Caleb in like the final couple episodes, that like when Caleb and like the main kids were like in danger, that she was like, oh, we got to go help. And it's like, no, you have like a whole crew of like kids there. I was like, are they going to like, write it so that they're just going to like also put the whole like school in peril, like reverse needs of the many sometimes, but they didn't do that. So I was really happy they never did that. Like they made a point to be like, no, we're bringing them there. And then we're bringing a skeleton crew over here to deal with this. So like, that was interesting. I think that to some sense, like the fact that it was a training like ship, essentially, like it did kind of like sort of make sense that it could operate with a skeleton crew. Like it kind of has to, like a couple people have to take charge in a moment. If there's like, oh, there's an issue and the kids aren't doing well, we got to take control from this one spot. Cause like, I noticed some people were saying like, there's only like 4 people on the ship at the end. And how is that working? It's like, I kind of makes sense in that regard. But yeah, I like you said, Nicole, I hadn't actually thought about that as much as like a thing to like talk about. But what did you think, Matt? You seem to have thoughts.
It's so interesting. I remember when hearing that the ship was the school, and then kind of watching the episodes, I was thinking about TOS, and the development of that show. And I don't know if it was Gene or if it was one of the writers, but the whole idea of, well, we can't land the ship, week to week. So we got to find a creative way for these people to visit these, these different planets. And that's where we came up with the beaming effect.
Yeah.
And, now I guess maybe it's almost a reversal where it's like, yeah, now we have the budget to land the ship.
Yeah.
But, you run into how do you keep the show still about exploration when it's taking place on an academy campus? And I think that's kind of how you bridge the two worlds together, is by making the ship the school, and making the school capable of going out on missions and still exploring. And I think it was well done. I also think in terms of budget too, because I remember like ship shows, they would call them ship shows in the other series, where it was like a budget saver to have an episode just take place on the starship.
Yeah.
You get to use that beautiful set for all these different episodes, and we get them here, and the ship shows, I guess you call them that now in this new era of television, they still have a purpose, and there's still some really good episodes. Like I still enjoyed I can't remember the name of the episode after the derelict ship episode, but
was that the wedding one?
Yes.
Yeah. Cozine, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Cozine. Yeah.
That was still a character building piece.
Yeah.
And I think in a way there's something very DS9 about that, using the ship as the school, because you can also have people, for example, with the Beta Z episode, you can still have these other worlds come to the campus as well, and in a way that still seeking out a new world that's still exploration. So yeah, I think it really worked. The concept really worked with that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was fun. Plus, it was like a beautiful ship. I think the ship shots out externally.
Yeah, it's pretty.
It was a really cool addition to the ship canon.
It was just gorgeous. It was just like genuinely very like it being called the Athena, the wings, like the gorgeous, absolutely beautiful design.
Yeah, I love that so much. I wanted to ask you about, you said earlier that you feel like this show was one of the ones since DS9 that maybe had the most truth to it, or had the most truth to tell. Can you expand on that?
I really appreciate the DS9 really went there in terms of storytelling. The obviously Far Beyond the Stars, past tense, Far Beyond the Stars, dealing with obviously Black history, civil rights, police. There's that scene where Ben is getting beat by the police, which is happening a couple of years after Rodney King. At that point, there is past tense, which in that is it takes place in 2024, and in that time it's basically illegal to be unhoused in America. And in LA, Gavin Newsom, I believe, signed something or made it so that it's illegal to be unhoused in California.
Yeah.
And that was 2024. So, DS9 was always ahead of its time or on point with certain things. And then Starfleet Academy, we fast forward to the finale of Starfleet Academy, and we are looking at the interior of the promenade area, if you will, the quad, the quad of Starfleet Academy, and it's just covered in graffiti and all these different slogans that I wish I wrote them down, because I knew there was a purpose to that, but it was very Trumpian MAGA-esque in the set decoration. In that point, the use of the media and the headlines in the media recording the trial that Nuspraka puts the Federation on, specifically Nala Ake. Like, what was one of them was like Federation fleas, or just it was something that was very propaganda, very and very much what this administration does today. And then there's, I think, and we all know the line by now, but Nala Ake says at one point during the trial, speaking to these members of these other worlds, she says, "Do you really want to?" I'm paraphrasing, but do you really want to follow this this trigger happy child that believes everything based on a lie?
Yeah, that was great.
And that is that is one of the pretty much black and white, very blunt. In terms of storytelling and what they were trying to say, in my opinion, and I appreciate not pulling the punches there. And I'm not gonna go on too long, but also the episode with Jaden as well, where they're having the debate, and Jaden says to Caleb at one point, "It's not the Federation's responsibility to tell us how to go about our lives," and he says, "or yours ever." Yet again, not pulling any punches on that mindset of, hey, this is mine. You cannot tell me how to participate in my culture. You cannot tell us as a people what we are supposed to be doing when you are not. You have not walked in our shoes. You cannot tell us what to do or how we're supposed to handle this. So, yeah.
I think to what you're saying too, like at the end, like you're saying, like that was that with the trial, and like it's sort of like that's putting the Federation's values like front and center. Like, this is what we believe as the Federation and Starfleet and all that. I think the interesting thing about the show too, like thematically, is the journey that it took us to get there was definitely one of questioning their own institutions. And I've talked about this before, maybe even on this podcast, but I think it's super fascinating that this was like in the 32nd century post-burn, right? And I feel like there's an element where you could draw a line of an allegory of like the burn being sort of COVID, for like a lot of the kids, like they're like, they grew up during the burn, so they like didn't have this safety nets that we thought that we all had before this, like they saw a Federation that failed them. They witnessed a Starfleet that was in panic mode, that was operating from a war college, not the exploration optimistic. So they're growing up with this like different viewpoints, and it mirrors the idea of like how sometimes we kind of like think about like kids in our own society, like during that COVID era where they like missed out on stuff or like watched institutions fail in front of like right in front of their eyes, and like don't have the same like safety net viewpoints that we do. And I think that's really interesting because we see that from Caleb and like the younger kids especially, but we also see it from Nalaake because she like was a believer in Starfleet, but then like saw something which she felt was like them at their lowest, like and there was the line, the one that we also like, the separating kids from their families isn't admirable, right? Or was it
reprehensible?
It's reprehensible.
Yeah. We're paraphrasing too.
I'm paraphrasing as well, but that was a great line too. Like, but then she also has to kind of come full circle and even question her own like
choices,
like in that trial later on where Caleb's mom, also great casting there, Tatiana Maslany, was kind of like, you had the luxury of just resigning and then going to live a nice life. Like you didn't really stay on to change much or like do anything else. Like you resigned in protest after you did the thing. Right. So like that was come under, like it does like the whole show does a really good job. Again, like DS9, also like putting the Federation and being like, you need to kind of put your money where your mouth is too. Like, let's look at our own institutions and what have they done and how do we, ultimately the show is like looking at how do we like make the institution what we want it to be, and it's ultimately it's people, it's not the institution, right?
Well, and even like thinking back to what Matt was saying about utilizing in season 2 of 1701, a BLERD story, that the Borg being a representative of the like a monoculture and like subsume everything around them, and how does the Federation be the Federation without, like we were just talking about, imposing what it thinks is best on everybody else. And so balancing the like sort of the communal aspect of the Federation and like let's all work together, but like we don't all have to be the same and have be a monoculture. And so does that make sense?
Yeah, it's like, what does that look like? Yeah, it's a constant fight, and it's like this show I think really,
because sometimes like we've seen this in Discovery too, where it's like, okay, you want worlds to join the Federation, and sometimes like the reason that they don't is they feel like they're going to lose who they are.
Yeah.
I mean, there's even that a great moment with that dinner table scene in the Undiscovered Country, where the Klingons and the crew of the Enterprise, Kirk's Enterprise, are sitting around that dinner table, the very awkward dinner table scene, but so beautifully done.
Yeah.
Where this thinking back, that had to be the first dinner between these two species ever, because you're even watching how they eat food is different. But long story short, one of the Klingon officials is talking about this peace treaty, the Khitomer Accords that are coming up, and so he says, we all know where this is leading, the annihilation of our culture. And Dr. McCoy comes in and he says that's not true. Azad Bor, I believe that's her name, the Chancellor Gorkon's daughter, she says at one point, think about what you guys say, human rights, the very name is racist.
Yeah.
Challenging it right then and there.
Yes.
Such a great moment, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Going along with with what you were saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's so good. Yeah. Yeah, it's I mean, it's like, yeah, the idea of like the people within Starfleet and Federation have to kind of remain vigilant to make sure what they don't, they don't want it to become what they don't want it to become. Right. And it seems like we've seen it in the shows, especially the newer shows are more willing to show like that it can very easily slip into those ways. And I know that was not what Gene Roddenberry wanted to see, but I think it's what kind of the series or the franchise had to kind of evolve into and confront. Right?
Well, and I also think being able to question, like the ability of a culture or of an individual questioning whatever Starfleet is trying to get them to do or says is the right thing, I think. And we've talked about this in regards to fascism before, but like being able to question, and get answers, or like have the institution like sit back and be like, oh, well, or the leaders of the institution, sit back and be like, well, hadn't thought of that, and like that is supposed to be what like a healthy community is like.
Yeah. You should be able to have that. You should be able to have that dialogue. And I mean, also, in regards to our current administration, if you could call it that requires you to have qualified people. But we don't have qualified people working in these positions. But having that dialogue and being able to question your leaders, challenge your leaders, is all part of that. And I think that I think there's people that are cynical about voting, and I think that's been the thing for the last, it seems like 10 years, since the first time that Trump was elected. And I don't know, I've been thinking about this, and even in terms of writing the show as well, voting is not it's not the end all be all, and it shouldn't be, in my opinion. There's so many other things that should be done consistently. Again, in regards to, going back to community, in my opinion, if you don't have the person that you like the most in the position that you want to vote for, maybe, especially in this situation, maybe it's about, for one, making sure that the person that is going to promote fascism, making sure that person doesn't get in. So let's make sure that person doesn't get in. And if you are in a position where you have to vote for the candidate that has maybe 70% of what you approve of, once they get in, you continue to do the work. You protest, you organize with your community, you hold that person's feet to the fire to make sure that they're doing what you want them to do. You post online, you give to, there's so many things, and so many ways to resist. If that person is not listening, there's also that boycotting element. We've done that with Target. We've done that with Amazon, where we stop giving money to companies that are stopping DEI. There's so many things that can be done to fight back. It's not just one thing. It's all of it. It's all of it, and it's consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well said.
Exactly. I agree. Want to talk about the love stories of this series specifically, but before we do that, do you guys have any like other kind of like points of just like generally like the show, like what you liked, or standout moments, standout character bits?
I was just gonna say real quick, I'm like definitely in the final episode, the finale of the season. Newsbraka's character, I mean, his arc being like the villain throughout the season came to like a good like climax there, but and I know he's meant to be annoying, and like we're not annoying at best, but like I was a little unsure, and I'm still like not sure how I feel about like kind of this returning villain sort of idea, but it's also Paul Giamatti does such a great job, so so like can't fault that. But I guess maybe just because I have a hard time with like chaotic evil, so
yeah, chaotic
maybe
evil.
that's why.
Well said. Yeah.
I know. What do you guys think about Newsbraka as the villain, and having that sort of take place throughout the entire season?
I think, again, because it's only 10 episodes, I just wanted more of that story. I wanted more of the backstory between him and Nala Ake.
Yeah, good point.
I mean, listen, Paul Giamatti and Holly Hunter, anytime the both of them were on the screen, oh my God, what a gift, what a joy, what a masterclass. I remember watching the first episode, and we see Noose Brocka make an appearance. And I think I had an opinion of that character, and I thought, oh, there's going to be a little bit of mustache twirling. We're having fun. Okay. And then we get to I keep forgetting the name of the episode with the derelict ship. I think that's the episode, right?
Is it Come Let's Away? Is that it?
No, you're right. Yes.
I think
right?
it is.
Yeah,
I have
because it's weirdly phrased, but it's like something else. I think it's Come Let's Away.
I was just looking at it. Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
And so we have that episode where Noose Brocka and Holly Hunter are, standing off in. Are they in her quarters? Is that where they are?
I think they are in her quarters. Yeah, or her office at least. Or it might be it might be both for her.
Yeah. But they're in there, and they're having this face off, and Paul Giamatti, Noose Brocka, has this line where he just looks at Nala Ake and he says, "I hate you."
Mm.
And that's when it really sunk in for me, because that was it was from the gut. It was from a different place. And then I said, oh, that's interesting. Okay, what happened?
Yeah.
There's more here. This is juicy. And I wanted more of that story. I mean, again, I think they worked with what they had. What they gave us was still good, but that's the stuff. That's the juicy stuff. I'm like, oh my God, I felt that. What happened there?
Yeah.
In short, yes, I loved it. I wish I had more.
That's sequence with them, or like the scenes where they're just like, in a room together. Like it was great to watch. Like it was great. I do love the, like, aside from the Noose Brocka of it all, like Holly Hunter's character, or Nala Ake, just feels like her history is just so like full, and like we do get like tiny glimpses, like her relationship with that like Klingon guy.
Yeah.
Who she obviously had a fling with at some point, was super fun. Like it's like she's probably like, I like the idea that she could just have some sort of weird little connection in her own like past to like almost any scenario, in a sense. Like that's kind of a fun bit. But yeah, I did really like that. I also like I feel like they did a good job with Noose Brocka not making him constantly looming over the show. Like there was enough like one-off episodes that just had nothing to do with him whatsoever. Like he was there, and I think he was a big part of like the overarching theme of the show. But like he was only in, I think, 4 episodes total, maybe 5. I think 4 actually. And I think that was the reserving him for those moments just made them all the more powerful, I think, overall.
And I got to say this one last thing in regards to Nala Ake and the way that she sits in the chair.
Yes.
I remember the first scene, or the first time that I saw it, and going, oh, but it's the chair. You have to sit like this, and you got to, and then I had to say to myself, wait a minute. I really can't expect in reality for every captain of the Enterprise or captain of a starship to say, let's go to warp, engage, and for the crew to literally stand there for 4 hours at a time, 24 hours at a time, because how long is it going to take to get to each planet or world or do each mission? There is no way that they can literally sit like this the whole time. And I think the choice, I wonder if that was Holly Hunter's choice to do that. But to me, even if it's a small thing, to me it's a big thing, because it says so much. It says so much about the honesty in the world that we're in. To me, it adds depth to the world that we live in as Trekkies, with captains and bridge life, but also so much as the history of Nala Ake, herself, as, I've lived for so long. I've experienced so much. A, B, C, D is not that serious. And I'm capable enough, and I know enough that I will be able to handle whatever it is with my glasses on, my book in hand, bare feet on the bridge. I can handle it. I got it. And to me, that's what I that's what I got from that. I don't know. Some people might think it's a small thing, but it's such a big thing for me, and I love it. I love it. And now, when I'm at a place, now I'm like noticing, my foot's up on a chair or I'm sitting a certain way. I'm like, oh, I'm Nala Akeing it today. And I love it.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think she brought so many like great little like character beats to this whole thing. Like that was just done through like her like physical acting, that, like all of that was so nice. I feel like there was so much like whining online about like the way she sat in chairs, or the fact
I think
that
it was a big thing for a lot of people.
Barefoot.
Yeah.
Like the barefoot thing like doesn't bother me at all either, like because even going back to like the Undiscovered Country, they have a scene where like there's a crew member who doesn't wear shoes. I mean, he doesn't fit in those types of shoes, but it's like Starfleet is the kind of place that exists like at its truest form that we like it to, where people can express themselves in different ways. Like, yes, there's a certain decorum, like you're wearing the uniform in a way, but it was kind of a big deal when like Riker made Rolaren take off her earring. Everyone's like, he shouldn't have done that, right? Like they can like have these expressions within the uniform, and I think that's what she's showing within it. I think that's that's cool. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's such a history, and I hope we get to explore that more in season 2. But every choice that Holly Hunter made, I just saw as there's so much history, and this person has been through so much. There's an ease, and there's a freedom. And maybe that's the better word. There's a freedom with being barefoot. There's a freedom with the way that she sits. There's this freedom that just came over time, and a confidence of, I got it. It's okay. Yeah. And I love that. I love it.
Right. Agreed.
As a fellow petite woman, I have folded my legs onto chairs a lot also. So I was
yes.
I got you. I see you, girl. Yeah.
Yes.
Petite representation.
I know Holly Hunter's she might be shorter than me. I don't remember how
she's tiny in real life.
Yeah, but I love it. She's such a powerhouse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were talking about I know we need to get into the romances, but
sorry.
I want to shout out Sam.
Yes, that's where I was going to go next. Sam too. Yeah.
Love Sam.
Sam ruled. I feel like we can't have any discussion about Starfleet Academy without talking about Sam for sure, but also like her big episode 5. This is the one that's the Cisco one, right? Like Tawny Newsome directed and all of that. Like that was such a great episode in countless ways, but also her relationship ultimately with the Doctor and Robert Picardo, who you haven't even mentioned, comes back as like a really great presence, especially like his journey to where he gets to. And what were you gonna say about Sam?
I just wanted to say that I love Sam. Yeah. Also, I mean, I know we already talked about but Cask, her planet, right? Like they're kind of trying to see organics, through the Federation. So it's again sort of like judging how we're doing, or we as in humanity and the other humanoid cultures in the Federation, and whether or not they could like trust what is going on to integrate themselves back into that. So there was that. But Sam herself, just like, she was just such a unique character, and I feel like an interesting take on like a she's photonic, right? But like she felt like definitely different enough from the Doctor. And again, she's like that, like, right, like that non-organic, like the Spock character, right? Like Data, Odo, like the one who's kind
Saru,
of
kind of viewing it from the outsider perspective.
The outsider perspective. And I just feel like the actor did such a good job, and I love how like the friend group in the series really rallies around Sam. And I did feel like she had some of the most heartbreaking episodes. I felt like that the one you mentioned, but also the one where she's glitching and they have to bring her back to Cask, and then she essentially is dealing with two different identities now, like the sort of the memories that she had before, and then when she kind of had to like grow up again and have a childhood, which is like she deserved that, but also it was sort of interesting. Again, like you were saying, Matt, we didn't get enough. You can tell that that's something that Sam is going through, and even like her friends, especially Genesis, are like, the uniting the two Sams in, into one. And like, so I hope that that's in season 2.
Yeah.
So,
Sam for me, and I knew it from the moment that I saw the first image of Sam, I think this is probably just I'm assuming, a testament to Carice Brooks as a person, but there was just such an energy and a light that I saw in that first image of Sam. Just the smile and the holding it was either books or a data pad, if I remember correctly, what the first image of her was. And it was just this look of wonder. And, the show hadn't come out yet, but I looked at the image of Sam and I said, that's going to be the one that's going to break my heart. I know it.
Yes,
I know it. And that, came to be, obviously because I love DS9 so much and I love Captain Sisko so much. Series Acclamation Mill, that episode was phenomenal. And the episode that came out after that with Sam, that one hit me even harder. But that's because for a couple of reasons. Long story short, my cousin passed away back in February, a little rather unexpectedly. And while they didn't have the same personality necessarily, there's my cousin Selena, and Carice Brooks and Sam, they kind of look like each other a little bit. There are just certain things about them that they shared some similarities. And so my cousin had just passed away, and then there's the episode where Carice has to go back to Cask to be taken care of. And so seeing her lay on that bed and passing away was a little tough. But I think necessary in helping me to deal with what had just happened. I wasn't able to be there for the funeral. They did record it. It was very tough I couldn't even sit through. And also, in addition to that, I did a production of Our Town in college.
Oh, wow.
And I played Mr. Webb. And so I remember the wedding scene. I remember rehearsing the wedding scene. And I remember, because I think in another scene in that episode, they're talking about the scene where Emily is showing up after she's passed away, and she's going over all these different moments in her life and all these different memories. And I remember rehearsing that scene in college, and I remember my friend Jessica, who played Emily, we were rehearsing that scene, and the atmosphere in the room was just so heavy. She said, "I'm sorry, we have to stop for a minute. This is a little too much and I need a minute." So I say all that to say it was a great episode. I think necessary for me in terms of what I was going through. Such a throwback, because I was like, wait, they're doing Our Town of all. Wow. And I hadn't really thought of the show that much since I did it in college. So it was probably my favorite because it was the most necessary for me at that moment in time.
Yeah, no,
that's incredible.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for sharing that. It's a really good episode too, for it's just doing so much on so many levels too, like with the A and the B plots, or which I don't even know which one's which, honestly. But I also love like doing Our Town in this, there is kind of this storied history of Star Trek just connecting to like literary elements, right?
Yes.
And I love that's brought back into it, this sort of motif of the play throughout it, and even the imagery of it, not just being something that's talked about, but it's mirrored in the storyline too. And I think that was super well done overall. It was great. Yeah.
Also, Tilly rules.
Tilly coming back, that was fun.
Yeah.
Drama teacher Tilly.
it makes it's such a, because we don't really have that in Discovery.
Yeah.
But I think it's a great evolution of the character and a great addition. And when I saw that, she was like, "Oh, drama, we're going to do a play." And I was like, yeah, of course. Yes. Tilly would do this. It works. It makes sense.
It really does. Yeah. So anyway, I guess we're Deep Space Love. We got to talk about love stuff.
Yes, let's do it.
Yeah, I suppose we should. It's kind of it. Was a
We've
lot.
Been talking about things we love.
To dig into. You know what we got to do? We got to have Matt back on for when season 2 drops, and we got to do a season 2 conversation. Just like
I would love to. I would love to.
We're reserving it for you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, so we got a couple love stories, and I want to talk to. I think the Jade and Kyle Darren one. I feel like that's one we want to get into maybe like last, because I think there's a lot of stuff to say there.
Yeah.
There's the Caleb Tarima relationship, which I think was like started pretty early on. That one is interesting. I feel like there were times that I found that one frustrating a little bit.
Oh, it's a good word to use.
But it also felt very like apt in a YA setting. It's very messy.
Yeah.
But also like it makes sense that it would be messy. You know, does that make sense? I don't know.
Yeah, we talked about this many times, you know, kind of after each episode when we would watch it. But, you know, Caleb coming from the chaos of not having like a single place and like having to develop his own routine and live on his own and kind of just really rely on himself. Whereas Tarima coming from, you know, an established society, she has like a high, you know, position or ranking in that society, and she's well taken care of. And, you know, so they're coming from totally opposite like parts of the spectrum. And so they have like these wildly different like upbringings and perspectives on life. So it was bound to be messy.
Yeah.
But yeah, made it interesting.
I think for me, Caleb, I didn't, I think that with the Caleb character, there's always a little bit of personal reservation that I have, that I acknowledge within myself, because, you know, there's always the popular kid on campus that looks a certain way, acts a certain way, and we always see that, at least, you know, when I was growing up, you know, like the 90s, and in the early 2000s, you kind of see those characters praised, no matter how they act. And, you know, the best way that I can describe it is like, you know, all of a sudden they put on some glasses and then they're sympathetic.
Yeah.
Which drives me crazy. What I will say here with Caleb is that I appreciate that he was consistently humbled in the scenes, that, you know, like he didn't have like his ass kicked as oh my god, the name of the Jem'Hadar Klingon instructor,
Lorathok.
Yeah, like he didn't have his ass kicked like Lorathok said he should have. And I think that's the way that we handle humbling him was through him having to learn. And so I'm talking about this because it made me be a bit more invested in the story between him and Tarima. It wasn't my first go-to in terms of the love stories that I was interested in, but I did care about him a bit more, and what was going on with him. I think in regards to Tarima, I don't know. I think maybe again that's another. If we had more, I think we just need more of her. We get to see her use her power in that one instance, but I want more backstory with her.
Yeah. I feel like it took a while to get to some places with her that like would have helped to know a little bit earlier, perhaps.
Yeah,
like the fact that she blew out her father's eardrums or whatever, right? Like, that came way later in the series than I was like, oh, okay, that explains something in episode 2.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess that rewards rewatches in a sense. But yeah, I agree. I think that they both could have benefited from that. Sometimes I found like I ultimately liked Caleb overall. I think that his humbling was very important, and those moments were really great. I sometimes found I almost liked him better as like not the main focus of the episode, like in the Sam episode, like when he was like just the goofy kind of like himbo buddy. Was very fun vibe for him, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think again that goes with, you know, the 90s television trope that, you know, I'm like, we don't need this anymore. And, you know, also I guess maybe from a personal place of, you know, being picked on by that kind of type, you know, not saying that that's what Caleb is completely, but, you know, from being a kid being picked on by that kind of type. I'm okay with not seeing that kind of those character traits focused on and be the main focus, because I think there's a danger with romanticizing
Right.
romanticizing that and making that a part of American culture. So yeah, I'm okay with that, not being the main focus.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Yeah. But yeah, that did seem kind of like a central relationship that I think I'm sure we'll see more develop over season 2. The other there wasn't as many like full on defined love stories as much as maybe I think people thought initially. There was the Jet Reno Laura Thok that we found out. That was kind of a fun, like, it wasn't like a love story, but it was a fun little thing to find out that they were a couple. Really enjoyed that. Glad that Jet Reno's happy. Tig Notaro ruled in this too, for sure. Shout out to her.
Yeah. I loved it. I
loved it.
more. I need to see more. I need to see, because I think they're not married. They're just dating, right? Or
I think so. They seem to be pretty close at this. I mean, she said she left Discovery for her, basically, right? To stay here.
I feel like really, I wish we could have had if we had the time to rewatch the whole season.
We didn't get as much Laura Thok in the last several episodes, and I'm sure it was like a makeup thing and like, timing and stuff. But like, I really hope she gets more.
Yeah, I love Laura Thok. Love Laura Thok from the first moment where, where we see her and her interaction with Caleb and Jaden. She said, "Was it like, put this bag on the idiot's back?" And he's like, "What?" She said, "No." She said, "You bag, idiot, bag, back now." It was like, hilarious.
Yes. Oh man, we needed more of that. But yeah, let's go into the big one. Jaden, Kyle, but also kind of Darum, right?
Yeah.
There's kind of a little bit of a little hints of a triangle there, which is super interesting. I feel like when we first got hints of that, there was the scene where Darum goes to Jaden's quarters, right?
Yeah.
And they have that really intimate moment where he's kind of like psyching him up for the debate, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, I know that, like, at the time I was like, I don't think that they're setting up for a romance, but I was like, I think we actually talked about this. I was like, I appreciate the framing of like, like YA shows often will frame like specifically couples who are like a man and a woman, even if they're not together, like, oh, they could be a couple though. But I was like, I don't know if they're going to be a couple, but they framed it as if it's like a strong possibility, even if they don't come back to it. I think I was like, there was like an equity in that framing of like, anybody could end up together. It doesn't matter, like, gender norms and stuff like that. And I think that they did a nice job, especially in that scene with them. And then of course it developed into a little bit more than just a small hint, but I really appreciated that. But Matt, you were saying that you really liked that kind of triangle and wanted to learn more. Do you have any some deeper thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, and also like there, because people have also been saying, "Oh, it could be a polycule." I'm like, yeah, that could be a thing too. Thinking back to the first interaction that they had, because I know in the first episode, I think Darum kind of picks on Jaden.
It's about the birds, right? The bird watching.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He picks on him. And I wonder, and it's interesting because in the next interaction that they have is the debate episode where he goes to his quarters, and I'm trying to figure out again, what was that journey in between those episodes? And maybe this might be an actor question too. This might be something that the actor that plays Darum can answer, is like, what happened in between those couple of episodes that made you look at Jaden and either have a look of either have some attraction or curiosity, because something happened in between that time that made you say, I need to help this person, or I'm going to help this person. In terms of the element of love, there is something, I mean, it's always very it's attractive, it's a turn on to have your partner be there and be supportive, and also challenge you and push you in a healthy way, to be the best that that you can be. And so when I saw that, I saw him come up to the dorm room and say, "You need help, I'm going to help you." There there was something brewing there.
Mhm.
There's an element of love, of care and affection brewing there. And then I think we see it returned when we get to Cosine, when we get to that episode, and Darum is being pulled away by his oh god, what's the name of his alien species? I'm trying to remember now.
Kionian.
Yeah, he's getting pulled off into that portal by the Kionians. And I noticed and I thought about it as I was rewatching it. I was thinking, Jaden could have just watched Darum go through the portal, or he could have, tapped that comm badge right then and there and said security to whatever level of the Athena, or, reached out to Nala Ake and said, we've got a situation going on right now, but he doesn't hesitate. He just goes. Mm-hmm. He goes, he follows him in, and he also says, sorry, Kyle.
Yeah.
He does say sorry, Kyle, and he just goes. And in my mind, a choice has clearly immediately been made, if not a permanent one, at least in that moment in time, a choice was made. So yeah, I see elements of love, and I'm very curious. I hope that it continues on. I mean, there's other stuff that I'll talk about too, but I didn't want to go on for too long.
It's also funny when Darum doesn't like Kyle.
Oh yeah.
Like some of those little interactions were pretty funny.
Oh god, yeah. Very, very I mean the sunburn comment.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That was pretty good, yeah. What do you think?
Oh my goodness.
I'm trying to think of what I could add to that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that Darum would want it to be the three of them.
And to your point, yeah. I mean, because we can see the looks that, and even when the episode isn't centered around the two of them, there's the exchanges and the looks, like in Serious Acclamation Mill, when what happens? Well, for one, when they're at the bar,
Oh yeah.
and Kyle and Jaden are talking to each other, and just in the corner of the frame, you see Darum looking.
I've definitely missed that the first time around.
The next time you watch that episode, just look at the two of them. You'll see the two of them speaking to each other. I can't remember what shot it is, but you can see Darum like drinking and looking and watching the two of them.
Awesome.
And and at the beginning of that episode as well, Darum sets up the imaginary line between the War College and the Starfleet Academy students. And again, Jaden and Kyle are talking, and Darum is like, Jaden, and he like gestures him back. It says, you can't go across the line. You're crossing the line right now. But it's it's jealousy. There's some jealousy there.
Yeah, that's a good point. He probably wouldn't be in for the three of them. Although Jaden had two dads and a mom, right?
Yeah.
He would see it as more normal, maybe.
True.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe that will be the conflict.
That could be a very interesting conflict. It'd be cool to see Kyle be a bit bigger of a character. He's sort of just there at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know him at all.
No.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing is that, he's obviously very sweet. Like he's giving golden retriever energy. He's very sweet.
Yeah. Wow. Good way to phrase that.
Yes.
Yeah. I can't take credit for that one. I hear that one all the time, but
okay. Well,
I do like that. That's giving golden retriever energy. Yeah. That's great.
So yeah, he's giving that energy. I need to see more. That's all from him.
Yeah. What else? I was speaking of the Cosine episode. I was kind of surprised we didn't get more like blue Darum.
Oh,
yeah. He's like, oh, this is our form, and I look human here, or I don't know. Maybe they said something about it's like when they're underwater. I don't know, but would have liked. I'd be interested to see more Blue Darum.
I think we need to know more about like just Coyoneans in general.
Yeah,
I agree. Did we see? Was it once or twice that we saw Blue Darum?
I think it was only once. I think it was only in the first episode.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. Again, gotta rewatch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, maybe it's a makeup thing. I don't know. Could be. I mean, they had a lot of great makeup effects in this. Like,
oh my God, yeah.
Some of the background aliens, just for some single shots, were gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably do this at some point, but I just, I want to see like all of the different. Actually, the actor that plays Jaden, he has been doing some behind the scenes stuff on social media, and he did one where he featured a lot of the background aliens. I want to go back and look at that as well. But also, like I think one of the great things about the world building in Trek and even Academy as well is that you kind of just want to pause the TV and go, oh, what's that, oh, what's that, oh, that, what's that, that's interesting. The names on the wall of the the Academy walls, the different names of the Starfleet officers that we all know and love throughout Trek. Nala Ake's office with the models of the the gold plated starships.
Yeah, and like that's like the thing that's like fun about being a Trekkie too. Like, is just like knowing these minute details about so and so side character that showed up like once in the background. Like knowing their names, and that I always found. This is a tangent. People would complain so hard about like, oh, I don't even know who the bridge characters are in Discovery. Like that kind of complaint. And I get it to some extent. Like, yeah, I'd like to know more about them, but it's like we're Trek fans who like know these tiniest details about like a ship that was on the side of the screen once.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it's like a disingenuous complaint. Like you just don't like it and it's fine.
Yeah, it's so true. It is totally true. I mean, I think about there's a very talented artist. He created a Wolf 359 battle sequence. And I don't know if you guys have seen it, but he tied together all of the different lore and references to Wolf 359, whether it was like in video games or in the different Star Trek shows. So you'll see the references to obviously to Wolf 359 and Locutus, but there's something that the artist did where they show Picard as Locutus carrying out the Borg attack and commanding the Borg ship to do whatever, but you see the Borg Queen in the background.
Cool.
Like whispering in his ear and telling him to do some things. You'll see another shot. You'll see another a starship under attack, and it's the starship that that Captain Shaw was on.
Oh yeah.
It's the cut to showing Captain Shaw on the damaged ship. I'm trying to remember some other. There was a game called Star Trek Borg that came out in like 95. That references Wolf 359, and you'll see some references to that video game included in Wolf. It's crazy, but all that to say, Trekkies, we know.
We go deep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah, I remember the board game too. That was cool. It was like live action too. You got to point and click. Like,
yeah,
John Delancey was in it. It was super fun. Yeah. Well, we probably should start wrapping this long episode, but it was worth it, I think.
Yes.
I know.
There's a lot to go over.
Do we do our rating scale?
I've been thinking, so I'm remembering that when we did Michael and Book, kind of after their first season, or that, it wasn't the first season, but it was like Book's first season.
Oh yeah, but it was like a TBD, like we'll see how it goes, right?
Yeah, so I was just wondering if we do this, but I was like, well, yeah, we did do kind of Michael and Book in the beginning.
That's true.
Just like where they were at that point. So yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, so listeners and Matt, for review, we have a special patented rating scale that we always oh my gosh, you always oh my gosh me whenever I say patented. It's patent pending, I should say. Yeah, it's a rating scale where we look at the love stories in question that we kind of talk about. I'll go from the bottom where it's the worst. We start with a red alert, means a very toxic relationship. A yellow alert, not great. Fascinating, we're intrigued, open to seeing more. Fully functional, well, it's going very well. Or resistance is futile, it's just too hot to handle. And the fun thing is people interpret these ratings and these slots in very different ways. So we'll do specifically the Jaden, Kyle, Darum kind of like romance triangle. What do we feel like? Where do we place that on our scale at this point in time, not knowing where it's going to be? We'll let you go last, Matt, since it's kind of like give us a chance to think here. Yeah. What about you, Nicole? What do you think?
I mean, I feel like it fits squarely into fascinating, especially the way you describe it. We're like, oh, I'm curious to see more.
Fascinating.
So I don't know if any of these, cadet relationships have been going on long enough to reach like a fully functional rating. I don't think I don't see any red, yellow, orange flags though at this point. Just like some messy feelings, maybe some little jealousy, especially with, talking about these three.
Yeah.
So, very curious to see where things go. How about you?
I mean, I think we got to go with a fascinating.
Okay. Fascinating.
However, I will say, like, given the whole notion of romance is on this show, I think that you could argue the case for like a slight fully functional, but just in the context of like where they're all making messy decisions, and it feels like, because of the framing of this being like a YA show, they feel like it's like a safe place to kind of make those things and learn and grow from them. And I think like it's interesting that we're sort of seeing that play out where they're like making these messy mistakes, but it's like, that's kind of the point. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't say it's fully functional. It means like the relationships are working, but I think the depictions of them we're seeing is healthy.
Okay,
it's like a healthy like way to see like these are how like you can make these mistakes and how you can like grow from them and change from them and like build and stuff. So I'm gonna give it like a sneaky fully functional.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am fully functional.
How about you, Matt?
I'm very intrigued. I'm not sure which one was that. Was the intrigue?
Fascinating.
I'm giving it a fascinating rating.
Fascinating.
I can see how some of it can be kind of dangerous for Darum and Jaden, just because Darum seems to be the kind of person that is going to, at the end of the day, show up for you and be there for you no matter what. Especially from that moment where he shows up to Jaden's quarters to help him. That's like an element of a lover that I want. Yes, I want that. But I also need you to be able to handle your emotions and express things and talk about things.
Yes.
Which Darum does not do. So I can see the danger. But, as these people, as you said, are still developing, I am still very intrigued. So
awesome.
Thank you for sharing those
kind of in agreement. And we will revisit in the follow-up episode at the end of season 2, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Matt, thank you so much for joining us. This was really fun to reconnect and talk about your show, talk about Starfleet Academy in general. It was delightful.
Yes, thank you for having me. It's been a joy, and I'm glad to see you too.
Likewise, yeah. And anytime it'll be great to have you back on. Other than season 2 of 1701 A BLERD Story, is there anything else you wanted to like shout out, plug, or like social media handles or anything?
I mean, so I filmed it's a comedy about an android that's used to enhance people's dating lives. It's a little Black Mirror-esque, but it's a comedy. It's called Jamal. I did a short film a couple of years ago, and then it got turned into an anthology series.
Okay.
And so I just filmed that a couple of months ago, back in January, I believe. February.
Oh, cool.
But that should be dropping on Here TV in July. So there's that. Be on the lookout for that. I think that's really it. And then, just the Indiegogo campaign. It got about 8 days left. And yeah, I'm looking forward to telling that story, but that's about it.
Awesome.
We'll link them in the notes.
Yeah.
Thank you again, Matt, for joining us.
Thank you
for this awesome discussion, and thank you to everyone listening to the episode today. You can find us at DS Love Pod on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky. Give us a follow if you like what you hear, and if you're really liking what you hear, a rate and review wherever you're listening. Until next time, love long and prosper.